New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm your host, the Reverend Dr. Jim Webb. I'm the author of the book, The Soul of Prosperity, as well as several ebooks, including Forgive Your Way to Prosperity, Create Your Self-Manifesting Vision Board, Prosperity from A to Z, and 30 P's to Prosperity. So every week on this show, we look at a different aspect of prosperity, and we look at ways to enhance our practices, to enhance our prosperity, or things to eliminate in order that the prosperity that is already there to come to us easily and effortlessly. And when we talk about prosperity, we are not only talking about money and stuff, but we are talking about a wide range of indicators of prosperity. Spiritual prosperity, where we have the peace that passes all understanding. We may talk about professional prosperity, where we have the wonderful job with wonderful pay, where we offer a wonderful service in a wonderful way. We could talk about relationship prosperity, where our outer relationships are a reflection of our inner prosperity consciousness. So where we are in harmony with ourselves instead of in conflict, where we are accepting and embracing ourselves instead of judging, criticizing, and condemning ourselves. And when we are in an energy and state of love with ourselves versus in an energy and state of opposition or withholding from ourselves, those things are reflected to us in our relationships. So our relationships become supportive, harmonious, and productive. Now, underlying all of this is what we're going to be talking about today, which is wellness. Wellness is a key barometer of our prosperity, for we cannot be truly prosperous if we do not have wellness. Now, you've heard the old folks say it this way: I didn't realize that so much of my well-being was due to health, and you don't realize it until it goes away. Well, wellness is more than just health. And wellness, the end point of wellness, is health or the lack thereof. Wellness begins within, a sense of spiritual balance, a sense of being filled with light, a sense of being filled with love, a sense of being fueled by the infinite energy of the divine. and and literally channeling through that infinite energy of the divine in such a balanced way that it fuels our success, our happiness, and our fulfillment in many aspects of our lives. So we're going to talk tonight about wellnessing your way to prosperity. Wellness, your way to prosperity. And our special guest for tonight, who's going to talk with us about wellness, your way to prosperity, is Coach Cheryl Miller. Good evening, Coach Cheryl.
Good evening, Reverend Jim and audience. How's everyone?
Yes, invite them to say hello to you and let us know that they're there, folks. Say hello to Reverend Coach Cheryl Miller and let us know you're here tonight. Just say hello. And Coach Cheryl, I want to introduce you as a wise spiritual teacher. You were certified by the Intervisions Institute for Spiritual Development. You are an entrepreneur. You are a wonderful coach, and you help people to find their truest potential through storytelling, through travel experiences, through a number of different ways, but most importantly, through your example as a light bearer. And so I'm glad to have you on the show tonight to talk about how we can wellness our way to prosperity, because that seems to be one of your key areas of focus right now.
Yes.
So, Coach Cheryl, one of the things that occurred to me is how easy it is to slip out of wellness and how easy it is for wellness to elude us, even though wellness is our natural state. What are some of the things that would cause us to slip out of wellness that we must be aware of?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me here. Thank you for all the audience members. Thank you for coming. And I'm so glad. This is a passionate topic of mine. You asked me what are some of the things that have eluded us from staying in alignment with our wellness. Well, I'll just put it like this: life.
Life.
We have been caught up in living, doing all of the things that life brings to us, and have forgotten the truth of who we are, that the key part of our living has to do with our connection with all aspects of ourselves. And when we only focus on one area of ourselves, we leave the other areas like abandoned. And when we leave those areas, abandoned or kicked to the curb or on the sidelines, it shows up in our physical body, sometimes in our mental state, sometimes even in our spiritual practices. And you would begin to see and feel it outwardly. So most times, if we are experiencing things that we do not desire happening in our lives, it's an indication that we have strayed away from our true state, which is our health and well-being, our connection to our divine self. That's the foundation.
Okay, I love the way you put it. Sometimes life happens. And I guess when you say life happens, that may mean pursuing things in our lives in the outer world, such as this degree, this address, approval of this person for outer validation, etc. Is that what you mean by life?
Absolutely. The things that we think really matters in life, getting the house, getting the promotion on the job, getting just things that we think will bring the happiness to us, and getting away from those things like spending time with nature, being still and listening, not only to our bodies, but listening to the people who love us, and slow down and just take time to even listen to our own thoughts and our heart. Now I'm gonna tell you, I was I'm gonna confess on myself,
You learned by experience, right?
I don't tell anyone anything that I hadn't experienced. And I was out there, life was life in me because I was chasing things that I thought would bring me happiness and joy, like getting the next promotion, or getting the better car, the bigger home, the next career
Yeah.
opportunities, just getting things. And what I realized is I was getting burned out.
Yes, that's what you weren't getting, things you were getting burned out. Now, I must tell you, I saw a brilliant talk that you did recently, and you quoted, I think it was Matthew 6:33, which is a differing way to look at this.
Uh,
And you want to share a
is
little
that
bit about that?
loving our
Seek ye
neighbor?
first.
Oh yes, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of its righteousness. It's
Yeah.
righteousness in the Bible, but how do we use those things we seek? When we seek ye first the kingdom and its righteousness, all the things that we desires, all the desires of our heart will be brought into our lives, will be added to our lives, and it will actually create what it is we desire without having to work so hard for
So,
it.
in other words, we've been putting the cart before the horse,
Absolutely.
chasing it outside of us, as opposed to going in and cultivating the consciousness within us that would draw it to us effortlessly and easily. Is that what
Yes.
you're saying?
Absolutely, that's exactly what I'm saying. When we actually, well, and I'm just going to say it hasn't been our fault. Some of this
Mhm.
have been things that we learned to do through
Yes.
the commercials, and through advertisement and all,
Mhm.
or things that we taught to work hard. If you work hard, the rewards of working hard.
Mhm.
And so we interpreted that to mean that we put ourselves, our wholeness
Yes.
on the side, and we take pieces of ourselves and just utilize that energy in one area. And
Mhm.
again, when we do that, when we only focus on pieces of ourselves, then the whole suffer. We have to actually um, live from a holistic aspect as opposed to, pieces and parts of us. So
And
yeah,
at the center of that, I hear you saying, is the light within us that we have to nurture and cultivate and celebrate and experience and grow. Am I hearing
yes,
that right?
you're
I just
hearing
want to make
that
sure I'm
absolutely.
understanding you.
That's our foundation, our own
Okay.
divine divinity.
Yeah.
God gave us everything we need right there within
Mhm.
us, and we have to learn to utilize that. And once we do that, we realize things will come easy. It will draw to us, draw near us, as
Yeah.
opposed to us going out to get it. And
In other
so
words, it'll chase us instead of us chasing it.
absolutely. And isn't that wonderful to be chased by prosperity and
Mhm.
abundance as opposed to
Yeah.
running after it?
Yes, yes. And one of the things you mentioned recently, and this has to do with prosperity, it's deservingness and worth, and that you mentioned you had a very interesting quote about how our worth and our wealth are measures of our level of alignment with the source of all wealth, the source of all good, the source of all light, creativity, and power.
Okay, well, now my last talk, I mentioned several quotes as it related to our worth. And one
Yes,
of them having to do, I used one about the loving your neighbor as yourself. That was a quote.
yes,
Out
yes.
here, when you're loving on someone else, well, the quality of the love that you share with someone else has to reflect the quality of love that you're sharing with yourself. So, are
Mhm.
you loving yourself in a way that shows that you are that light, that shows that you are radiant, your soul is healthy and expressing itself in the way that the divine has gifted you. So that was one. Uh,
Okay, so tell us, Reverend Dr. Cheryl, Coach, how How I'm just layering titles on like you layer on a submarine sandwich, layer different types of cold
And you
cuts
do
and
that.
lettuce and cheese on a submarine sandwich, or a hoagie as we used to call them back in Pittsburgh. Um,
Mhm.
so how do we experience, exhibit the type of love in a balanced way that will draw loving circumstances to us? What are some of the ways that we can do that?
Well, the first thing is to be still, go within, because everything begins within.
Hmm.
Um, know that our energy, our
Hmm.
energy is our currency.
Okay.
So in the way that we utilize our energy, the way that we serve, the way that we live out our purpose is a reflection again of how we're loving ourselves, taking care, eating well,
Hmm.
getting proper rest,
Uh-huh.
exercise. Um, that brings out the vibrant aspect of ourselves, and
Uh-huh.
then we're able to be creative.
Yes.
Creativity is activated,
Hmm.
and with that, you start to magnetize the things that you love and desire. So then, joy, peace, those expressions start to activate. So there are many ways to begin, but you first have to be quiet, sit still in quietness, and then just go within. Start there.
Yes. And I love what you said about energy, because I tend to work with energy a great deal.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've noticed, and I'd love to hear your comments on this, is that we tend to, that energy, creative energy, the
Yes.
substance that flows through us abundantly and in unlimited nature, I notice that we tend to waste it worrying or
Mm,
regretting. We waste that energy based on the past, which does not exist, or on a future that has not been created yet. And all of that wasted energy, one day I got to thinking, what if we productively used the totality of the infinite creative energy that flows to us and through us all the time in alignment with our soul's purpose in productive ways, instead of wasting it in the past and in regret, or wasting it in the future and worry, which is like taking out, I don't use this anymore because I got an electric car, but like taking out a gas pump and taking all that precious gas that that countries are going to war about, and hitting the button and then just spilling it on the ground instead of putting it on your gas
yeah.
tank.
Mhm.
Can you comment on that aspect
Yeah.
of wellness as well?
Well, and I'm glad you elaborated in that way about our energy, because energy is designed to flow. Is
Hmm.
designed to flow both ways, in your giving and in your receiving.
Hmm.
So in order for you to be able to give freely, give vibrantly, to reveal your radiance, is to, first of all, like I went back to, you have to go within and make sure you're taking care of yourself. When
Hmm.
you worry, when fear comes in, when self-doubt comes in, when expressions of unworthiness come in, it blocks that flow. And so
Hmm.
once that flow is blocked, then it starts to pile up, just like a river flows. If you
Hmm.
put rocks or some sort of barrier there, that the water of that river starts to back up, pile up,
Hmm.
creating a block, and therefore it would not allow that prosperity you desire to come. It wants to get to you, but there's blockages there for you to receive it.
So in
So
other words, worrying about the future or regretting about the past and beating ourselves up about the past is like eating a hunk of cheese, then expecting our energy to flow.
exactly. It's just not going to work. It's
It
not,
just
you're
doesn't
going
work.
to block it. It's trying to get through.
It's trying to get through, but that hunk of cheese is a hunk of
The hunk of
cheese.
cheese is is doing its work.
And that hunk of cheese has a purpose, which is to show us our blockage so that we are conscious not to eat another hunk of cheese, right?
Right. To clear that,
Don't
to
blame
clear
the hunk of
the
cheese.
blockage.
Don't shame the hunk of
Don't
cheese.
put more of the same on top of what you're trying to get. If you want the flow to happen, release the cheese, please. Just release it. With them, you always got a good metaphor for showing just how it actually works. Because when someone hears, yes, cheese, Kimberly, the cheese,
They'll
the
remember
peanut
that.
butter, anything that will create a barrier for you, and fear, worry, self-doubt, those are barriers to our energy. When you create those barriers, whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously, and then you're asking the divine to bring you the desires of your heart, you can't have both of them existing the same. The moment you start to worry, here comes that block of cheese that's coming forward, right?
Yes.
So you have to keep the cheese out of the flow.
Right.
And let the flow continue.
And you also alluded to something else that I want to tease out a little bit more.
Yes.
The first step you mentioned, which is likely the most valuable step, is to get still, because that makes you aware of what blockages may exist. Is that accurate?
Oh, that's absolutely accurate. Because we are constantly bombarded with news, music, noise, and I call it noise because some things are just not worth allowing to enter into your meditation or conscious state. When we get still, we are able to really hear not only our inner wisdom, but we also hear and connect with the wisdom of God.
Yes.
And being still, people, sometimes you're just accustomed to having the TV on or having the radio on, and messages might come to you for the prayer that you asked for, but you can't hear them because there's just a lot of noise around you. So getting still also allows you to open that flow of your creativity.
Yes, absolutely. So being still has a number of different positive effects and benefits for opening that flow. Yeah, I want to talk more about that. And I also want to talk more about how we can get more balance in our lives. But as I'm fond of saying, we've got to sell some soap. So we've got to go to commercial break, and we're going to talk about how to get more balance in our lives, and we're going to look at some ways to focus on our wellness, and wellness our way to prosperity in the next segment of The Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
What if the person you think you are is just a fraction of who you truly are? What if years of conditioning and surviving in a challenging world have left you clinging to strategies and beliefs that mask your truest nature. I'm Catherine Duca, psychotherapist and self-esteem coach, and you're listening to Who Do You Think You Are? A show that looks beneath our psychological masks and uncovers our profoundly messy, beautiful, brilliant, tender-hearted essence. Join me as we go in search of the hidden power of our true selves. I'm so glad you're here.
And we're back here on the Miracle of Prosperity with Coach Cheryl Miller. And we're talking about how we can wellness our way to prosperity. And one of the things that you mentioned that was so pivotal, Coach Cheryl, was getting into balance. So what are some steps we can take to get our lives back into balance?
Well, thank you for asking that. First, I wanted to share how our wellness, our health, is that seed to, or is the soil where our prosperity grows. Okay. So when we're in a healthy state, our mind, our body is healthy, we actually bring the healthy soil for that seed of our dreams, those the things that we are called to life in order to live out our best life. Those areas are where our prosperity grows. So in order to be balanced, you have to make sure that any toxicity, chronic inflammation, things that are an attribute to our dis-ease, that those things are released and taken out of either our mind, our body, our environment, our space, and then bring in those seeds, those things that allow us to thrive in life.
Okay. So our prosperity plant, whatever it looks like, cannot thrive in soil that is not fertilized with love, balance, peace, light, grace, and deservingness. Is that accurate?
That's right. When we just nurture the soil with those seeds of love, with those seeds of giving and receiving and tranquility and peace, and just set that environment, then we set it for it to thrive. When we speak over it in a way that does not serve our highest good, then we set it to do the opposite of what we desire. So it's important that we plant the seed in good soil, in soil that can thrive.
Okay. That helps me understand. And what steps can we take to do that?
Well, for one, in terms of the body, exercise, sleeping well, eating good nutritional foods, and supplementation for those foods that you won't get all of the nutrients out. Having a spiritual practice, being still, turning away from some of the noise, and then just your interaction with the world, like the things that bring you joy. Go out and do those things, whatever it is that bring you joy, because what you brings you joy will also bring back joy to you. So doing some of those things, I mean, keeping our mind clear from, again, those things that no longer serve us, from the worry, from the negative inner critic feedback of what we can't do or what we aren't doing. And then also keeping our bodies well, exercising, things like that, rested well. That gives us an overall well-being, and that soil that I'm speaking of, it plants the seeds to the good soil. Our seeds will be our purpose in life. What are we here to do? And if
Okay.
we plant into that soil of joy, of peace, of nutrition, of rest, then our dreams, our desires will flourish, will thrive in prosperity.
So in other words, prioritize rest, which often for many of us is a last resort because we feel like we got to do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that while life is lifing. But prioritize rest,
Absolutely.
prioritize balanced nutrition. Now, one of the other things that happens when life is lifing is we tend to make nutrition decisions that are expedient in the short term, but damaging in the long term. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. And again, these are things, it's not to shame or blame yourself for, because these are things that sometimes you just learn to do. It was convenient, it was easy. However, over a period of time, I work with the community of 50 and over. And over a period of time, your body starts to speak to you to let you know what things works and what no longer work. And we have to start listening to what our body is telling us,
Okay. So in other words, I have friends who, we're all of a certain age now, and they say things like, my knees started talking to me. Our bodies start speaking to us, right? And say, this isn't working anymore. This is out of balance. Our bodies are barometers for the balance in our lives.
It is.
And they speak to us. Pain is a language of imbalance. Is that accurate?
Accurate. That's accurate. Pain is also connected to something that's happening within the mind, because there is an emotional and mental attachment to whatever pain or signal. It's really a signal the body is telling you to pay attention, to whatever is happening in your body.
And it could
usually
have been something that was cumulative over time. I love the way you mentioned that. This cumulative idea of I'm not enough, so I must overcompensate, which places a strain on our minds, on our bodies, on our energies. And that cumulative effect ultimately will show up in our bodies. Is that right?
Sure, it does. It does. When you feel the pain, it didn't just start. The pain is, again, a signal that something was not paid attention to earlier. And as you said, it was a cumulative effect. So our body gives us what it needs, and our body is designed to heal itself as well. So pay attention. And the rest part, that's a revolutionary act. Some people think when you're resting or you're taking a nap, remember as kids, we used to just didn't want to take a nap at all.
Right.
Those naps now, oh my goodness, those naps are so
Heaven.
Resetting for your body, that gives your mind a chance to just and your body to do its work, to do the healing part. Yes.
And you know what, Coach Cheryl, I noticed that as we move into balance, the male energy and the female energy, we're learning that rest, being an aspect of the receptive, passive, quiet, silent, still female energy, is more important now. And we've learned to devalue it less, because for such a long time, our society has been so male-oriented that the male energy of do, achieve, overcompensate, has overshadowed and devalued the female qualities, one of which is rest, receive, reset. And you know what made it all make sense to me?
What is that?
What made it all make sense to me was when I was watching like the Indy 500. And these Indy drivers, they're driving at like hundreds of miles an hour around this track and zooming their cars, right? But you know what they do? They come in to a pit stop. They change all the tires, they take out all the spark plugs, they put all the new spark plugs in, they start spilling all that gas in the gas tank, and everybody does it, so nobody thinks if I stop and make a pit stop, I'm going to lose the race, because everybody does it.
Yes.
And you know what that made me think? Number one, life isn't a race. It's a wonderful, joyful journey. Why turn it into a mirthless race? Number two, refueling is so important. It's just as valuable as the driving through life.
Exactly. It's just as valuable as the function of the car itself or the function of your body itself, getting that rest, allowing all the processes of life, the experiences of life to be processed through, and then filter out what is not needed anymore, and then keep what is needed, So just like you described with the race and the car, our bodies are designed in that way, and even more so than a car, because it's miraculously healing itself all the time. It does it without us having to do anything.
Yes. And sleep is an important way for our bodies to heal because it slows down our
Yes.
biological processes so the healing processes can take over. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. That's accurate, Reverend Jim. You are practicing. And even when I hear you speak, this is what we have to speak over ourselves. We know this. It's already in us. We are aware of this. We have that inner wisdom. It's returning back to that. We kind of lost sight of that. And that means going back within and turning back to that.
Yes, absolutely. So rest, nutrition, stillness,
Yes.
listening. These are all keys to wellnessing our way to prosperity. Now, our guests, our viewers may have some questions. So one of the things I like for us to do is to invite our viewers to put in any questions that they'd like to ask or they'd like for us to address. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to a brief break, and viewers, we encourage you to ask any questions you'd like to ask that Coach Cheryl can answer. And then we've got some other surprises for you in our third segment here on the New Thought Media Network.
Welcome to the Convention of the Americas 2025, Rising Together. Join us for a truly bilingual retreat experience on the shores of the beautiful Lake Chapala, Mexico. July 22nd through July 26th, 2025, at the Hotel Villa Monte Carlo in Jalisco, Mexico. Featuring Reverend Jeffrey Ryan, Dr. Jose de Lira Sosa, Reverend Dr. Kathy Ann Lewis, Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse, and Reverend Dr. David Bruner. Registration is now open, and payment plans are available. Simply visit www.conventionoftheamericas.com. Come be part of a transformative gathering with powerful presentations, workshops, networking time, and just good old relaxing and connecting. Plus, you can learn more about the science of mind and how to live this powerful philosophy in your life. Transform your life at Convention of the Americas 2025, Rising Together.
What if the person you think you are is just a fraction of who you truly are? What if years of conditioning and surviving in a challenging world have left you clinging to strategies and beliefs that mask your truest nature? I'm Catherine Duca, psychotherapist and self-esteem coach, and you're listening to Who Do You Think You Are? A show that looks beneath our psychological masks and uncovers our profoundly messy, beautiful, brilliant, tender-hearted essence. Join me as we go in search of the hidden power of our true selves. I'm so glad you're here.
And we're back here on the Miracle of Prosperity on the New Thought Media Network with Coach Cheryl Miller. And we're talking about wellness, your way to prosperity. And at 8:39, Reverend Tanya Parker had a question that we can address.
All right. Okay, what are some elements of your personal regimen to maintain wellness? Oh, thank you for that question. Okay, so for me, I begin my day with spiritual practice, prayer. And the moment I wake up, I offer gratitude. And then I'm a part of a prayer group. So we pray. And so I usher in the day with prayer. And then I also, I take nutritional supplements once I eat my breakfast in the morning so that it can nutrify my body. And I also do some light exercise. I love to stretch and I love to listen to music. So when I'm listening to music and I'm allowing my body to flow, that's getting the energy going. So, and then I do a lot of traveling. So, one of the things that offer me vitality in my life is the travel that I do in my life. And I go to other places and just try the different foods, but I'm always exercising, doing my practice, spiritual practice, and nutrifying my body. Thank you.
So if I hear you correctly, Reverend Cheryl, one of the things that revitalizes you as part of your life pursuit is travel. It makes you feel alive. It causes you to feel like you're part of a bigger universe. It helps you to express your divinity because you see different aspects of life and thus different aspects of you. Am I hearing that correctly?
You are hearing that absolutely correctly. In fact, that's one of the things that I do. That's a part of a spiritual practice for me too, to travel. Because when I meet people that are not in the same country I'm in, I learn that when we talk about we are one, that the people I meet, I'm meeting myself. Sometimes the language barrier is there, but we work past the language barrier. A smile is universal, and just a laugh is universal. And find ways to communicate with one another. If there's language that's a barrier, we find a way. And love is always universal, right? So
yes. So in other words, that's love aerobics. That's strengthening your love muscle. Is that accurate?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Now at 8:40, Diamond Thorne had a question as well.
What are some ideas you can do to rest if your mind is that's an excellent
Delicious question. Delicious as sushi.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, when you have that, like your body is ready to rest, but your mind is still on overload. What that tells me, Diamond, is that now you have to go back and go within, be still, and just allow that your mind to catch up, to know that you're no longer out working, no longer doing things, just giving your body and your mind permission to just be still for a minute. Even if the mind is still active and activating, you allow your body to be still, and then your mind will follow your body. Now, if your rest is interrupted because of that, you can, what I do is use essential oils. I have a diffuser, sometimes creating that environment that allows for the calmness to take place. You take your shoes off when you get home. So you're telling your feet and your body, okay, I am now coming into my sacred place and leaving the outside world outside. And now I'm coming into my sanctuary, and I give my body permission to be still and rest. And then tell your mind, I give you permission. You no longer processing as we have to. We're going into stillness, and even vocalizing that helps. You can tell your mind, you can speak to your body, speak to your mind, and then set the tone by gesturing, this is what we're doing, and it will follow. That's an excellent question, because a lot of people have a hard time just decompressing once they get home.
Yes. And Coach Cheryl, I thought of another thing that you mentioned in a recent talk that you did, which was you talked about your living vision. And I realize that quite often when I'm bombarded with 15 different thoughts, what I have to do is say, what is my living vision? And prioritize these according to my living vision. What supports my living vision?
Yes. And that's even on top of that. If it's not even a living vision, say if you haven't created a living vision, setting an intention.
Yes.
Say before you get home, if you're on your way home, you know your body is tired, you know your mind, you have 100 things, like she said, going through your mind. What you do is set the intention while you're on your way home that when I walk into my sacred space, I'm going to give myself, my body, and my mind permission to have 30 minutes of quiet time. So, mind, get ready, body, get ready. We're going to have some me time for 30 minutes and practice that until you increase the time. And I will tell you, your mind and body will listen and follow you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And does this comport with my deepest desire and the deepest vision God has for me? If it does, there was. I am a music trivia guy, in case you haven't realized.
Yes, you are.
So there was this singer named Lynn Collins. She was a protege of James Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And she did a song called You Better Think About It. And she had a phrase in that song. If it's not in your vision, then don't make no decision.
Yeah.
And that, to me, was so metaphysical. If this is not a part of your vision, don't make a decision about it. Don't worry about it. Don't waste energy on it. This is not part of your vision. This is not for you to deal with right now. And that always stuck with me. Now, most of you may be too young to remember Lynn Collins, but you do remember Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock. It takes two to make a thing go right. That was the song that they sampled. They sampled Think by Lynn Collins.
That's right.
Which is why Lynn Collins got all their royalties, because they forgot to ask her permission.
I didn't know that story, but that's a wonderful story,
Yes.
Think. That's right.
Yes, exactly. And to think, you got to stop, right?
That's correct.
Now, while we were on break, someone, I guess who might be watching on another platform, texted me and said, what are some truths that we can stick to that can help us to wellness our way to prosperity? And what popped in my head once I read that question was enough. The truth that you are enough, just as you are. You don't need to strive to contort yourself into being what someone else expects you to be, because God created you perfectly. So the first truth is that you are enough. The second truth is that God is enough. And the thought that comes to mind is the Catherine Ponder affirmation. I alone can't do this, but the Christ within me can, and is creating miracles in my mind, body, and affairs right now. So that to me is, there is enough God, there is enough power, there is enough grace, there is enough glory, and there is enough of the infinite creative energy and enough of the infinite love to support me in every aspect of my vision and desire, so I don't have to stress. So enough was the one word idea that came to me when someone said, what is a truth that can help us into wellness? Any thoughts on that, Coach Cheryl?
That's so beautiful. And while you were speaking, what came to my thoughts, one truth is that we are each a unique, individualized expression of the divine. So no one is created the same as you. You are unique. You carry a unique seed. That is the truth. So no one can take it away from you, and no one can give it to you. All you have to do is embody it and step into that truth, that one individualized expression. Reverend Jim has his own expression. I have my own expression. Each person has theirs. And all of us together create the divinity of the universe within. So it's so beautiful. I love that, Reverend Jim.
Yes. And it reminds me of something I learned from you about an old spiritual song. The joy I have, the world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. And you used that to indicate that we are all imbued with a sacred light, a sacred vibration, a sacred purpose, a sacred beauty, a sacred power, a sacred desire of God to express through us.
That's
And
right.
God gave that to us. It is our essence, it is our worth, it is our inner light. And no one and no thing can take it away, smother it, other it, or in any way diminish it. It must life. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is so accurate. And you said it so beautifully.
I only parroted what you said.
See, the expression, it's the same thing in the expression. I apologize.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I want to thank you for that wisdom, Coach Cheryl. I want to thank you for your
Thank
time and
you,
energy.
Reverend.
And it's been a wonderful pleasure. So what are you working on these days?
Well, what I'm working on right now, I have created a community of, I call it my Vibrant and Wise Community. It's a 90-day, 50 plus wellness reset. So you don't have to be 50 and over, but these are the groups of people that I'm calling to me so that we can reclaim our vitality, reclaim our health, reclaim all of the things that the world tells us aging is for us, and empower ourselves to show ourselves that we can live vibrant and wise and live our best life. So if you're interested in that, book a call. We go through spiritual rituals. We go through accountability, keeping one another accountable to our health and wellness. And we just create a community of like-minded people just trying to live the best life that we can live in our golden years. So what about you, Reverend Jim? What is it that you have going on?
Well, I've got some current classes that are fabulous, but the thing that I'm most excited about right now is my book, The Soul of Prosperity, which you were so kind to flash a week ago.
Yes, I
That
have
book
it
is
right
not. That book is on sale on Amazon.com right now. The retail price is $16.95, but on Amazon.com right now it's on sale for $9.95. So if you are looking for some early holiday presents before tariffs kick in and before everything gets a lot more expensive, hoard that book now as holiday gifts. If you haven't gotten your copy, get it now while it's on sale like this, because you won't see this price again. So that's what I want to share with everyone. And for everything else, you can just go to my website, see me on Facebook, and you'll see all the other things that I've got going on, including classes, workshops, my blog, and all of that. Okay? So Reverend Dr. Entrepreneur, Goddess, Cheryl, Coach Cheryl, I want to thank you for spending your time with us this evening. We so do appreciate your stopping in to share how we can wellness our way to prosperity.
Yes.
I thank you. Our audience thanks you. Let's also thank our producer, Reverend Michael Menges.
Yes, thank you, Reverend Michael. Thank you so much.
Yes. And so we want to say adieu for tonight, but we will be back next week here on the New Thought Media Network.